A lot of people hear shadow work and they instantly think dark, scary, intimidating, but I can tell you from my experience, honestly, shadow work has been one of the most influential tools for my healing on my spiritual journey. I felt called to share this part of my spiritual journey with you because I've noticed how shadow work has really transformed my life. I started my spiritual journey at a place where I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I believed in. I didn't know my worth. And through shadow work, I have discovered so many answers to so many questions. Yes, shadow work does reflect on a lot of trauma and a lot of past heartache, childhood trauma, dealing with your inner self. But the beauty in that is we can start rewarding and giving our inner child something to be proud of, because we can connect with that part of ourselves and kind of bring those dreams and aspirations from our childhood selves to life. I find that shadow work helps to remind us of who we once were before life happened and adulting happened. And for me, that's really rewarding because it helps me see the world in a different viewpoint. It helps me to believe in magic a little deeper. It also allows me the opportunity to honor the goals and the dreams of the younger version of myself. And my childhood wounds are deep, honey. I'm not going to go too deep into my personal experience as a child, but I will say that because of the experience I had as a child, I developed depression, anxiety, PTSD, and eating disorder, and it's been a lot. It's been a lot to handle. And I find that along with my mental health services and shadow work, I've been able to do a lot of personal growth and learning on my own. And it actually helps me kind of get my thoughts out and my feelings so that when I go to my counseling sessions, I have something to talk about and they're able to kind of help me figure out how to navigate those feelings that came up when I was doing my shadow work. And I find that to be one of the key pieces for people when they're starting shadow work, is to have a support system. It's super important to make sure that you have people that you can go to if some of the stuff that you start to dredge up in your journal start to get, a little bit emotional, start to be a little overwhelming, because that will happen. But we kind of have to go through the muck, right, to get to the good stuff. So in order for us to navigate that part of our healing journey, it's really important to have a safe space. And I want this to be a safe space for everybody to be able to heal and elevate and learn about themselves and connect with their inner child so that they can help elevate towards their higher selves. So that's what I'm all about. These are the key points that I feel are most important to share when we're talking about shadow work. So number 1, what is shadow work? Number 2, what does healing look like through shadow work? Number 3, how tarot helped assist me on my shadow work journey. And number 4, ways that shadow work can enlighten you on your spiritual journey. Shadow work is about integrating your subconscious with your conscious mind. It's about exposing and shedding light on some aspects of ourselves that we've kind of hidden or felt ashamed of, kind of put on the back burner. It's about you being able to look at yourself as a whole with the things that you love about yourself and the things that you might consider not such pleasant characteristics, and being able to accept that as you as a whole. And the phrase nobody's perfect fits very well here, because no, none of us are perfect. We're human beings. We all have our own struggles and journeys and challenges and obstacles that we go through in life. And the best way to help ourselves regulate all of those things is to acknowledge them so that we can start to process them and then we move forward. The process of forgiveness is not like my strong suit, so I'm not on a soapbox over here. I'm in the trenches with you. I just wanted to kind of give you a better idea of what shadow work is if you aren't familiar with it already. For me, healing through shadow work has looked like a lot of different things. I started off with my shadow work as kind of just an experiment, I guess. I kind of knew about it, so I went and found some prompts and I started writing down my answers to the questions and trying to dig deep and really allow myself to open up, which is actually really difficult for me. I am kind of emotionally shut down from trauma from my childhood, and so one of the things that I wanted to accomplish with shadow work is to start to hit some of those emotional triggers to allow myself to release in the form of crying, because I don't cry. And I laugh because, again, this is me and my emotional blockages. This is what it looks like for me. And humor is so much easier than having to be, deep into our feelings, which is odd because I'm a Scorpio sun, a Cancer moon, and a Libra rising. I should be totally in touch with my emotions. Insert shadow work. So part of the healing process is just acknowledgement, being aware, allowing yourself to look at the situation without judgment. This is supposed to be a safe space for you to get out your thoughts, your feelings, and kind of just write all of the things that are kind of stuck and been held on to, and things that you feel like you've had to kind of suppress because of whatever reason. To me, starting off, I wanted to really get into my childhood because I knew that's where I really needed to go. I knew that that's exactly the place where it all started. So I made an attempt to really find prompts that spoke to your inner child and healing that inner child wound. And I noticed that I lost touch with my inner child, and I allowed a lot of outside sources and influences to kind of take me off of the path that I had chosen for myself. And it was ironic for me to see how at the time where I was in college and I'm technically an adult, right, making my own decisions, and that was kind of the turning point where I kind of lost all of the morals and ethics that I had went there with. I think that sometimes when we come from a lot of chaos and we kind of get that freedom away from the chaos, we start to create our own chaos because we don't know how to handle life without it. And I realized that for myself, that I kind of started to self-sabotage and I started to ignore my intuition and really just go with the flow, do what everybody else was doing, and it changed me. And it didn't bring out a very good side of me. When I started doing my shadow work, I realized how much healing I had to do from that point as well, when I kind of took the reins of my own life and I literally threw my chariot right over the bridge. I don't know. I rebelled in my own way, I guess. Healing through shadow work is basically allowing yourself an opportunity to see it all out on paper in front of you. So the journal prompts are meant to dig up the things that we try to pack down. And once we have a better understanding of why we're doing something, then we know how we can navigate through it and start to make better decisions so that we can get the outcome that we actually want. Let's talk about how tarot actually helped me on my shadow work journey. So the thing about tarot cards is, don't ask a question you don't want the answer to, because they're going to tell you the truth and they might hurt your feelings. They'll probably hurt your feelings. Yeah. I actually love that though, because blunt honesty is just like so much better for me. Like, I prefer you to just rip the band-aid off. Like, let's not sugarcoat it, get to the point. However, when I started to actually read for myself, I started to notice how there were a lot of similarities between a lot of my readings, a lot of the same messages coming through, whether it was tarot or oracle, specifically not believing in myself, doubting myself, not trusting my intuition, kind of giving people power over me, and just being a little bit too submissive. I definitely need to step more into my masculine. I'm still working on that. But I realized that this is not who I was when I was a little kid. This is the opposite of who I was when I was a little kid. And so it all kind of tied in for me when it comes to all the childhood trauma that I was working through, kind of trickled into all of these things that now hindered me in my adult life. And it was through divination with tarot that actually brought those things to my attention, which helped me be able to utilize what I learned through my spreads or my readings that I did for myself to then go ahead and create some sort of prompt to do my shadow work through. And I find that to be extremely helpful. I actually have a really great book that has some amazing tarot spreads for shadow work specifically, and I personally use them in my own business along with my shadow work mentorship. Earth Magic, she's back! And she's even got the tab for the shadow work because that's how much I love it. There are tarot and oracle spreads in here to help you identify your fears, what spirit wants you to focus on in your shadow work. So if you like to use divination tools, specifically tarot or oracle, you could actually start your journey by doing one of these spreads and then allowing yourself to either create your own prompts, or you could go find some online. There might be some in here actually, and whatever kind of resonates with what you pulled from your reading and whatever might be just kind of like on your heart, you can kind of start there with your prompts. I will always do what is most aligned for me, and everybody else should do what's most aligned for them. So maybe it's not childhood trauma that you need to work through, maybe it's something else. And that's the best thing about shadow workers, there's really no rules. It's so customizable. It is something that everybody can utilize. As long as you are willing to sit there and actually feel your emotions and be present in the moment and answer honestly, you can do shadow work. These are my two current shadow work notebooks. This one I think is full, and this one I'm working on right now. So pretty much with shadow work, you are allowing yourself to let down your guard, open yourself up, and really connect with yourself. Connect with what makes you tick. Connect with what your inner child needs from you. Allow yourself to explore the depths of who you truly are, because the rewards of that are just like indescribable. That's so much power that you reclaim when you decide to heal yourself and you decide to move forward with forgiveness and kind of give yourself a clean slate, so that your emotional palette isn't hanging on to all this stagnant, low vibrational, yucky energy of things that happened years ago. You deserve better than that. And that's one thing that I will stand on 10 feet down. I only have 10, I can't talk. I will stand 10 toes down on that. Okay, snicky moment. I just whined like a child. Ew. And I say ew because whining is like literally the worst thing ever. I don't do whining. So ways that shadow work can enlighten your spiritual journey is also about you kind of giving yourself a new foundation to build off of. When you come into spirituality, you're going to learn that there's a lot of layers to this. And one of the things that nobody will argue about is your energy, your aura, cleansing your space, protecting yourself, protecting your energy. We all can agree on that. And so I feel like shadow work is a space where you can kind of do a mental declutter, an emotional declutter, and that's just as important. Because let's say that, you know, you start doing spell work and you're really enjoying it, and then somebody comes and pisses you off, and the next thing you know, you're over there with their name on a black candle ready to ruin their whole life. Like, no. Emotionally healed people don't do that. Emotionally healed people say, oh, you don't like me? Baby, let me go ahead and make that transmutation ward right now, and you can keep hating, and I'm gonna keep getting more money and more blessings. That's the type of elevation that we're working for, okay? So if we don't face our demons and we don't go through the process of really stripping down this ego that we have, we're gonna find ourselves in some catfights that we might not win, okay? And it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Trust me. Witch battles, you don't want that. You don't want that. It's exhausting. Not that I've done it, but I've seen it. It's not fun. And I just think that people on spiritual journeys are, I don't want to say it's supposed to be, but I feel like you are supposed to hold yourself to a higher regard because you are potentially opening yourself up to help other people. And if your mission is to help people in a positive way, you also need to be doing the healing for yourself, which is exactly what I did, which is exactly what I built my foundation of my spiritual journey on, is my own personal care, my own personal spiritual hygiene. And along with that comes shadow work. And you can choose to utilize this in whatever way you want. I like to be a little bit more creative with things that I do. So sometimes I don't write an answer to some questions through a prompt. I write a song because that's how I'm feeling and that's how I want to express myself. That's cool. I love that for you. I genuinely do. But basically, like, you are the star of your own show, and you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't honor all of yourself, your light and your shadows included. So that is my spiel. That is my journey. I would love to answer any questions that you may have about shadow work or my mentorship. So if you're interested in that, you can go and click on my link, and it's called The Mirror Path, a Shadow Work Journey. And of course, you can always contact me by email if you would like. Shadow prompt number 1. Why do I feel disconnected from my intuition? What barriers or blockages are in place that keep me from being able to connect with my intuition? That's number 1. Number 2. What skills or talents am I avoiding sharing with the world? Why am I hiding these pieces of myself? And what does it say about how I value myself by hiding my gifts from the world? I appreciate you watching this video and being here with me. I hope that my journey can help inspire you and gives you a better idea of how to utilize shadow work within your spiritual journey. And I am excited to have some conversations with you guys about shadow work. So I hope to hear from you in the comments. And until next time, have a beautiful day.